Hi everybody, my name is Dave Schade. I'm your Director of the Alaska Division of Agriculture. So today we're going to have a short Facebook Live, but I wanted to talk to everybody in the ag industry and everybody in general about Alaska's Senate Bill 97. So Senate Bill 97 was proposed by Governor Dunleavy after we've looked at some things that the state needed to do to encourage land sales, land development. So while there are many different portions of Senate Bill 97, today I'm going to focus on some things that we've done to what we think is improve the use of ag covenanters land and to develop some new criteria for that use of land. So, the bill has now been moved from Senate Resources over to Senate Finance. And we're always looking for support of our legislative actions and that. So today I wanted to give you guys a brief rundown what's in the committee substitute of Senate Bill 97, talk a little bit about what was taken out, and then go through a few slides and explain what the changes are and what they're meant to do. I really want to thank the governor for his leadership in trying to get us to make ag work better. It is a priority of this administration, and the wise use of our resources is always something the Department of Natural Resources is working at. And when it comes to ag land, we really want our farmers to be successful. We found that some of our interpretations of the statutes were what we thought were overly restrictive. And so we're trying to make some changes, staying in the boundaries of the law and the Constitution. So this has been a collaboration with the governor's office, the commissioner, Feige, deputy commissioner, Goodrum, and all of us as we work through to find the right way forward. And so I really want to thank the team from the governor's office, the commissioner's office, as we've all, and the legislature, absolutely, who's been moving this forward, have been fantastic, asked great questions, great dialogue, and a good public process. So with that, the short title is State Land Sales, Leases, and Rivers. Well, the rivers is out. It turned out that a repeal of a Wreck River clause in there just wasn't what everybody agreed would be a good idea at this point. So that's no longer in the bill in the committee substitute. So we don't have to talk about that anymore. That's something that wasn't our ag issue, but it definitely was something that became part of the conversation. And so it was decided that we really have really some high priority issues that we want to deal with in this bill. So next slide, please. So the first big thing that this does is allow the ag covenant lands to go to 20 acres. In the past, it was set up as 40 acres was your minimal size. So what we have here is an amendment. So what we said is, okay, so if you've got parcels greater than 20 acres, you can use this land for ag production. So the rest of this slide, there's no change. This has been in the statute all along for the production, storage, and sale of plants and animals. Well, I actually need to correct myself. We've made it clear that in this, the addition was storage and sale of plants and animals is part of agriculture. Because it said the production, and the lawyers in at least one case thought that was a limiting factor, and I didn't agree, but that we're trying to make sure that we're all inclusive of agriculture. And of course, then you had the housing, you had improvements to use that land, the use of gravel for that production, and the removal of timber to bring it into land. So the rest of that was the way it has been. But we're trying to make sure we're clear that there's a broader use of ag land for all agricultural purposes. And this was written in the 60s. Agriculture has evolved, it's developed. There's a lot of new varieties out there that people are growing. I mean, we didn't have a flower industry in the 60s, and we do now. And so those are the kind of things we've been looking at. Next slide. So, one of the things that we've realized in looking at the past performance of our ag sales was we really had a problem in that we hadn't found a way to allow the services to be in that area. So, you know, if you wanted to go to the implement dealer, you had hundreds of miles to drive to get to the nearest community. So how do we solve that problem? So what we've said is for parcels that are now 20 acres or less, you can do all the historical authorized uses, but we've added a few things. And so vertically integrated agricultural processing and production. So if you're on ag land and you're a processing facility, we wanted to make sure that was clear. That's just fine. And we also in 3 said, hey, we're going to need implement dealers. If it's a tractor supply shop, it's a tractor repair shop, those commercial support services, we think that needs to be in the local area. So we added that. And then because things evolve and change over time, we added other agriculture-related purposes as approved by the department. And the sole purpose is for, as technology changes, we want to have the discretion to make this work for agriculture. So now this is a whole new section, and it's for the parcels that are now 20 acres or less. And so yes, we have got another parcel and an addition for parcels that are 20 acres or less. So next slide. So let me jump back one thing. So as I started, in the past, the perpetual covenants were set to be no less than 40 acres, and you couldn't subdivide more than 4 lots. That has been changed. So it's now not less than 20 acres, a significant change, and it's been increased to 8 lots. So we're trying to make that a little more user-friendly to where we still keep this in ag land, still in production, but to make it into a little easier to have a broader range of industries and sizes. So that's the whole goal there. Next slide. So part of the dilemma we had was, how do we make sure that we keep land in ag production? That's the goal of ag covenanted land. We're trying to make it cost-effective, economic for ag development, and we're trying to make sure that this land is committed to production, because we have in the United States a major issue of loss of ag land. So Alaska is trying to learn from the examples of the lower 48 and make some things that work better for us. So what we've done is saying is there can be, when the state is building a new proposed area for ag, and I think Nananatucket, the project that we're now working on, the state can have smaller acreages less than 20 acres. And those issues, those uses, I should say, that are less than 20 acres or less are part of that. The subject restriction is, once that is conveyed in that particular acreage, it may not be further subdivided. So we're trying to have a balanced movement forward to allow these smaller tracts and design this whole area. So Nananatucket is 140,000 acres, where we'll have 80 to 100,000 acres of ag land. So there will be areas that we have these smaller parcels for the support of the greater ag area. So this is a new set to the statute. Next slide. And I really want to, and I know we're going fairly fast here today, and hopefully we have some questions, but one of the most important things that we're doing here is changing the basic paradigm on what's ag land and how do you use it. And when I was the director, Commissioner Feige asked me, how do we make this work better? And I'm sure that was part of the discussions the administration had been having. And so we went and we looked at it, and what we found was some many years old Attorney General opinions had been very limiting on what this statute said was used for ag purposes. And what they did was they used the words incidental to as being limiting. And so we looked at that and we went, I don't think that is really what the design and the purpose should be. So we've asked that that be removed. And when we say what this has to be is it cannot be inconsistent with, which has always been there, and does not limit the primary use. And so what that does is we make it a little clearer in the statute that what we're talking about is uses of ag land support agriculture. And so, you know, this is, I understand, very, very delicate wording, because we don't want to have unintended consequences with that. And the lawyers have spent quite a bit of time working on this, changed it around from the original bill to make sure that the drafting issues were taken care of. So this is where we're looking at getting agricultural industry support for our bill to move this forward. And with that, John, do we have any questions that we want to talk about? Because, you know, and I know I apologize that we're trying to get a list of things that we're doing out a week or two in advance, but it's been a very, very busy season. And so, you know, what we're doing here is we're going through and we're trying to reach out to everybody. So the last slide there, you know, it's pretty clear that, you know, we want people to reach out and talk to us. And so I always try to end with, you know, this is my direct phone line. You don't go through a switchboard. You come to my phone. You come to my desk. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to be a service agency for the industry. And with this, you know, we really encourage people to look at the bill, ask questions. If you know, feel inclined to support it, let the governor's office know. Let the legislators know. Send a message to the Legislative Information Office. Send a letter to the governor's legislative director and to your legislators that you support what we're doing here, because the legislature wants to know that what we're doing is supported by the industry we're working with. And so, you know, it's a quick rundown. It's a short and fairly small change in wording. We're hoping it to have a big positive impact on how we develop agriculture. So since I guess we don't have questions, I just wanted to give everybody a brief update. This will be coming up in Senate Finance and moving to the House, so we have time for people to weigh in. And I really encourage everyone to work with their legislators, let them know they support agriculture, that they support what we're doing here. Let the governor know that you support what he's doing and what we're doing. We really appreciate that. So with that, we'll be back next week with another exciting program. And until then, take care.